Okay, it's Friday, November 12th. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm pretty much done for trading for today. There's a lot of good opportunities, and I just wanted to shoot an overall video here, kind of showing the context of the market, why today was likely to be a good day for many of the stocks you follow, and then kind of go around the board to show you the stocks that I do track and which ones gave good signals and which ones, didn't provide any opportunities and why. So, just quickly, the market itself, this is the SPY S&P 500 index. This is a daily chart right here I'm looking at. That happens to be a weekly chart, and this is the intraday chart. The reason today offered a lot of good opportunities is because you could see we've been in a big uptrend, so that's kind of still the context. These days, I'll show you in a minute, we're just brief pause days, and now we headed up today above the midpoint of the prior bar, and we're heading green. On the weekly chart, you could see, and this is the one I really track closely just to monitor the condition of the market. We've been going up big, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is now the sixth potential week higher. So you can see here this little pullback we had on the daily chart, which I showed you here for, on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. They were really just pullbacks to the midpoint of this green bar, and then now we're starting a little higher. So we'll see what happens. But until you get red bars making new lows, you don't really have to be concerned about the overall market. And when you do, in this case, this was a red bar making a new low. You had a red reversal bar here and then another one heading lower. Then there are certain, you have to watch for the market to turn with green bars making new highs. There's certain ways to do that. I don't want to get into that now. Other times when you're coming up and you get red bars, they're just kind of consolidation bars of the prior green move. So you got to kind of determine when you're making, anytime you're making a new weekly low with a red bar, you have to determine, are you just consolidating within a prior move, or is it a potential pullback where you have to be a little patient before we start up again? So the bottom line is, now in the market, there's a lot of momentum up, so this doesn't last forever, but you ride with it, but at some point, it could turn red. But until it does turn red and you have a new weekly low, you just ride this strong trend higher. And that's kind of what I wanted to point out there. And specifically today, within this uptrend in the weekly chart, you did have the daily chart pausing and then moving higher above the midpoint of the prior day. And that's why you'll see a lot of good charts today. So if I then switch it to the various stocks I follow, that's a whole nother topic of, some I follow just on a regular basis, like I've discussed before, like Apple, Nvidia, Netflix, Facebook. Then a lot of times I'm looking at the hot stocks of the day, which, is Coinbase. That's the Bitcoin. CrowdStrike has its reasons why I'm following it. There's good volatility and the trend is good. Tesla, Airbnb had some good earnings a few days ago. So you put stock, this RBLX, I'll show you, I traded that today and that had good earnings, which popped up. So you look at hot stocks that have good volatility. There's many ways to track different stocks. And then I've discussed this before, I do have a scanner that I see the hot stocks of the day. I have a ranking system here to show volatility. When I click on it, it shows you kind of the stocks that are moving very strongly relative to their recent price action. And then you kind of if there's a volume buzz, so to speak, with a lot of heavy volume and it's up a high percentage, you then click on the chart in this case, and you can see on a daily bar, this is having a big day today. So this could be a stock you can track for the future. So that's a whole nother topic. But what I wanted to show you today is just how it was a good day overall. I showed you how the context in the market looked good for different trades. The ones that immediately went up that I traded was Facebook. You can see here the opening 15-minute bar. Just let's kind of look at the opening price action. I've discussed in the past how my whole philosophy is that the high or low of the day usually happens early in the session, one way or the other. So you want to get in early, either with a strong 15-minute bar up, or if we start down, that it kind of goes red to green early in the session and forms the low of the day pretty early. And it has to happen at key, areas relative to yesterday's price action. So if you just look today, like Facebook had the strong opening and I bought it and it's been a beautiful up move. Also, there's RBLX, which I
had on the board. That opened up strong. I got in there, and that's been moving up very nicely. So those were two very nice trades. But let's look at some of the other charts. I was going to make a video earlier, but I didn't do it because I was making trading videos. That Apple opened lower. But what it did was it consolidated within this first 15-minute bar, and then it broke out to a new intraday high, and that coincided above the close of yesterday and the overnight price action here in white, and that's why this was a good buy a little later in the morning if you wanted to take it, and it moved up nicely. Same thing with NVIDIA. Where you opened up down and then made a new intraday high. So at this point, you can consider playing that type of a trade, but you are below yesterday's close and below the overnight price action. So I don't like, yeah, there is a window to move up to that area, but it's not necessarily as strong as a stock that is moving up above the overnight highs and the yesterday's close. So keep that in mind as kind of a way to screen these opportunities. Netflix is a great example of where you opened up lower, made a new intraday high here about an hour into the session, and that coincided with above the close and above this overnight price action. That's why you got a big move higher. So these were all good trades. I mean, Facebook developed first, but Netflix and Apple came later. Now, other stocks like the Coinbase stock, I saw Bitcoin was down today overnight. You track that stuff, and you could see here we opened red on the first bar, and then we just continued lower. So there's nothing to do on this day. We're below the midpoint of yesterday. We're below overnight price action. We're below, the yellow line of yesterday's close. So there's nothing going on there. Also, a stock like Tesla, even on a good day in the market today, opened up red, and then we never really made a new intraday high, and we're below the close, and we're below the overnight price action. So I just want to show you how when you browse these charts, the good price action leads you to the types of trades to take. Airbnb was a great trade early on. If you would have traded it on that first green bar heading higher, and then that's the 15-minute bar, you buy that, and then we continued up so far all morning. Now we're just pausing. It looks like it might want to make one test of these highs. You never know, but this was the great price action to take gains, and that's again why I usually look to exit in the morning, because you never know if you're going to get that push up or not. If you want to hold it, hang in there with a tight stop, you can do that, but that's another topic too. And again, on the context basis, this is why you've tracked these stocks. Airbnb had great earnings, and then just kind of this is a typical example when you get red bars making new lows, but they're just consolidating inside a prior bar. That means it's probably getting ready to make another push up. So when you get a great open like we did today, that's why it became a great trade context-wise, and that's why I'm tracking stocks like this. I mentioned that on this RBLX as well. Same type of thing where you had great earnings, gapped up. This one on a daily basis. On a daily basis. No, I'm sorry. I had that before. On a daily basis, we did have a red bar that came down, and then another red bar, a small green bar, and now we're starting higher. So I'm trying to see if this was you can call this consolidation within that first green bar. Although sometimes when you have a big gap like this, sometimes it does come down into the gap before it curls up. But Airbnb was a better example of just pure consolidate. When you see red bars consolidating inside a green bar, that's a good sign that you're getting ready to make another push up possibly. So just wanted to show you that. Finally, like DoorDash, another great example of staying above yesterday's close, above the first green bar, heading up really strong above the overnight price action. Great buy there, headed much higher on the day. And the context here is we are breaking out. This is why you track the big picture always of a blue line resist. You can see these highs here, and that's why you had the breakout yesterday, and then the follow through today made a lot of sense. And when you get that good opening price action, the context is there in the big picture. The short term price action is there for a trade, and it was a great opportunity. Costco is another. I actually traded that yesterday on a similar pattern that I just discussed here early in the session. Did well on it. This is another trade that actually started up, then came down. You see, this would be an interesting trade if you bought it up here on anticipating the first 15-minute bar heading higher, you would have had to take a small loss at the midpoint of this first 15-minute bar. But then it came down to a point, and I've showed this on other videos, when you come down on a prior green day into the close of yesterday and support and then form a green bar, that becomes another trade opportunity to see if you are going to make a push up. Because sometimes stocks, they start after they've been up for a while with the green, they kind of start up, they come down to good support, and then they eventually rally higher. So this was a type of trade. I wasn't following it at the time, and I don't know if I would have got in here. It looks very close, but if you did, sometimes you have to take a quick loss, but it actually offered a good signal to get long if you wanted to trade it. And again, you're not always going to pick every stock perfectly. You're not always going to be focused on the right stocks at the right time. You're going to miss a lot of trades. That's the way the game works as well. But I just kind of wanted to show you an overall picture of how you look at the overall market itself and see what's going on, and then you look for good stocks that are having good context, and then of course you look at the methodology of trading near the open and the various price patterns that develop. So that's it for today. It was a very good week of trading. The market's heading up, and until this momentum stops, I'm just going to stick with the upside and the long side of the market here going forward in the weeks ahead.